There we go.
Google, fix your game.
Here we go. Here we go. I should be streaming now. Okay, there we go. I don't know where the button went,
There
but
we go.
yeah.
Hey.
Okay. Nice.
Let me just close up my YouTube in the corner so I'm not hearing echo of myself. It's
I'm
very
just
strange.
gonna say this right now. I don't like how YouTube you have to press another button after you said start stream. Like,
Press
and the
this
button
button,
wasn't even there.
Good.
The button wasn't there. That's why this didn't start early.
Official introduction. Hello, ladies and hello. Hand is a pain. Hello
Hands.
and welcome to the Midweek Report. I'm Nick. This is Justin, and as you can probably tell if you've seen our previous videos, we're doing face cameras now.
Oh.
It's a new concept we're experimenting.
Totally not because.
Experimenting with.
Yeah, it's totally not because all I have is a certain number of games to play, and well, unless you wanted just the same gameplays over and over again. I guess we're trying something new.
Trying something new. Keep the formula fresh, and also my camera's a bit of a pain. So
I don't know about you, but your camera has better quality than mine. Mine's 2001, 2000. So it's old.
On the top of my monitor right now. That's fine.
Mine's old, so I'm surprised it's still functioning.
So, anyways, unless you can see my janky ass setup that I've always been recording with, I might fix that eventually. We will see.
Well, don't worry. I got the full PC Master Race gamer setup right now.
I'm sorry, kids. I'm not part of the PC Master Race. I'm not worthy enough.
Hey. The only reason why
It's frantic, isn't it?
the only reason I go to PC is because it's easy, convenient, and I can watch multiple things at once with more than one screen. So hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah, there you go.
It's pretty good. That's unless you're like a master gamer. You have a TV, PC, and then maybe a console over here. Then you're a master. Yeah. You're just mind bender.
Honestly, what's that freaking guy I once met who he had like 6 screens in his, and when he was sitting down he had like literally 6 screens and he could have one on each. Actually no, I think that was a college professor I had once who had like 6 screens in front of him, like all overlaid. It looked like a freaking security matrix monitor. I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, you gotta love it when it's like just going in on itself, and they didn't intend on that happening, but it's going to happen because you didn't do it right.
It did. It just.
You're just gonna overlay it on top of each other.
One for each face in the call.
Yep.
So, anyways, yes, face reveal. This is what we look like. Yay.
Wow.
Me and my Hispanic ass, and him over there with his white ass.
Yes. Scottish. A little bit of Scottish, a little bit of I don't know what the hell, but we're here.
I don't know what the hell, but he's there.
I'm here.
The editor I keep in the basement.
I'm in the basement, but at the roof at the same time. Where am I?
Is it true? Is it wrong? We'll never know.
Is it the truth? Is it the false? Who knows? PlayStation.
PlayStation, fix your game. So speaking of PlayStation, also true comment for those who've been on PlayStation. That is a true comment.
Yes.
So speaking of PlayStation, that is what we're on about this week. Specifically, the PlayStation Showcase that was on September. Here we go. I'm just glancing at my screen here. That's kind of why I'm looking down creepily. On the 1st of the 9th. Well, it was 1 p.m. on the 9th of September. So you're probably thinking, what the hell, Midweek Report? This is old news, and you're right. This is old news. But we're doing it anyway.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's
old news is good news, because that means everything didn't go badly. Because if it went badly, it would have been forgotten. It's not wrong.
There you go.
Why are you booing me? You know I'm right.
Why is the crowd booing me? This is not right.
You know I'm right.
You know I'm right. Yes, every great way to end a conversation. You know I'm right.
You know I'm right. You can boo me, but you know I'm right.
Yes, but honestly, I wanted to talk about this for a while here, and we finally got around to talking about it last week. We actually did something different because oh, that probably screwed up everything I had running in the background, but that's all right. Sorry, I just commented something else sadly. Go away, Magic the Gathering. Yeah. We want to talk about this for a while now, and we finally got the chance to talk about it. So here we are.
We can get a little bit into the depth of a bunch of the games going to be coming out soon. I think at the very most, one game is going to be coming out 2023.
2022. 2022, I think, is the earliest
20.
most of these games are coming out. I
Oh,
think.
okay. Because I think I saw the Spider-Man one would be coming out 2023.
That might actually be right. I think I remember that. Let me just check on the video. Oh my,
Yeah.
forgive me, I'm clacking my.
Yeah, we're already talking about the games. What are we talking about?
We're just going straight into the dark meat, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Let me just. I've got this actually. For those who don't know, I have actually. I like to say people. I like to give people glances behind the curtain of how we do things. To my left here on my screen, I have the entire YouTube. I have an overlay of YouTube for the entire showcase. So, and it's all nice and diced up, so I can just cut to each one when we're talking about it. Ah, yes, you are right. 2023.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So pretty much all the games at the very most will be coming out within the next 3 years. At the very, very most.
Next 2 3 years, something like
At
that.
the very most, this is factoring in the whole don't set a date game company because you're probably going to be late and,
Not
push it
to...
back. So at the very most, probably 5 years. Probably.
the logic of these reviews, if you see it and they don't have a date, expect it within the next half decade at the least.
It's weird because every time they actually set a date, it always gets pushed back. Another month. Another month. Okay, give us give us a year. Give us a year, please.
Yeah.
Okay, give us 5 more months. We should be fine.
Funny you should say that. Funny you should say that. I believe it was this, and a lot of the delays that came recently for several other games, for example, Dying Light 2, a game I personally pre-ordered, has been delayed. So, excuse me. Excuse me.
Sick!
I'm all live, ladies and gentlemen. I can't cut that out. A game I actually pre-ordered to kind of save for the whole drag that would come from Destiny, which I often do also play.
Yeah.
Having a little bit of a drought, but unfortunately that got delayed until 2022 February, as well as Horizon Zero Dawn, which was set to come out already in 2022 February. I believe they're coming out literally in the same week, which I mean that's terrible business sense because I've got competition, but whatever. One of the things that came out of this is that I heard from the grapevine is that everyone's saying they don't want to be the next Cyberpunk. They don't want to be the next Cyberpunk. After all these delays got announced, that's what everyone's been.
Yeah, everyone keeps saying they don't want to be the Cyberpunk, but not either intentionally or unintentionally knowing that they are basically becoming the new Cyberpunk. Like, don't say it, and maybe people won't think it. Like, I really honestly don't think anyone was thinking, oh, this company's being the next Cyberpunk. No, I don't think anyone was thinking that until they said it.
Yeah, no, it is that kind of thing where everyone's saying it, and most people in our community are saying it, and it's kind of not hard to see why, because most of these people are people who have these big games that got major promise behind them. For example, God of War Ragnarok. Oh, yeah. That one's got major expectations to meet after the first game.
They had a big build up for that, so expectations are high for that one. Like,
and I mean,
story has
heard the God of War theme. They're just feeding into their own hype just by playing the damn thing.
Oh yeah. No, they've set a big expectation for that one, and I mean, from what it looked like when we saw the trailer. Mm-hmm. That's not too bad. I mean, that's not too bad.
I'm impressed. Yeah.
Boy, stop being a father and be a general. God of War. No.
No. Yes, typical Kratos fashion. Just no to everything.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I have the feeling Kratos doesn't want his son to follow in his footsteps that much.
You think?
A little bit, but not that much. I think to the extent of know how to defend yourself and protect others, but don't do what I did and kill all the gods and, destroy the planet a bit.
A bit. The entire country at the very least.
I kind of made the whole planet red with flame.
I mean, here's the thing. I was actually looking at a timeline video where it's like, where you look at the timeline. It was kind of also in the video of how old was Kratos, actually. And when you look at it, the Norse era took place several hundred years after the Greek era. Like, the Greeks' fall, it was already way after their fall. So when you look at it,
Well,
It's
isn't
been, if you do the numbers historically, at least 600 years since then,
well
or
isn't
something
isn't
in that ballpark.
Kratos technically some kind of ghoul-like thing where he's not dead? He's not dead, but he's
He's
in
white as a ghost, so he might be. No,
yeah, like
no. I
he's in
mean,
some he's in some weird state where it's like you're dead but not dead because you can still technically die. It's just you don't die of age. You don't
well,
age.
he's the son of Zeus, so he's an immortal demigod. So there's that. Plus, he's also the former god of war, which I don't think he ever truly
I
lost
don't.
that title.
Yeah, I
So he
don't.
might
I
technically
really
still
don't
be the Greek
think.
god of war.
Yeah, I think he's still the Greek god of war. Just
So
saying. I
there's
mean,
also
the
that
Greek.
immortality to factor in.
I'm just saying, like Greek god of war, then loses that, and then beats every
Nah, yeah,
other god to death. Yeah,
he does still
I
have his
think he's.
demigod status though.
Yeah, I
So
think he's at the very least, not maybe not in title, but in name, probably the Greek god of war.
yeah, at least in name, at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, there's also the fact that he just literally fought his way out of literal underworld.
Like he just
Clawed his way through the underworld to get out again.
Doomslayer, but for gods.
Gets sent to the underworld, beats up everything, and goes out the front door.
Escapes. Goodbye. Your tactics do not work on me.
You do not work on me.
But I will say, yeah, it will have a lot to expect when that game does come out, because there's a big build up, and I mean it seems like our wonderful headed character, who's literally just a head,
Just a head.
might be getting a body. Might get a body.
Might be, but then again, the game does state that both him and Tyr had the same eyes that they were given by the giant. So it might just be that they look the same.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like we don't know for sure. Chance. I mean, what wasn't it like?
Possibility, but
what was it? Zeus or no?
No, it was Odin.
Odin. Yeah, like Odin goes and basically cuts off this guy's head, places him on a tree, and it's like goodbye. It'd be nice.
No, he just took his body and slammed it to a tree and says, "You're stuck here now." And then Kratos came along and he's like, "Well, I can't for your body, so I'll just cut off your head and reanimate it."
Yeah.
That'll work.
That world's logic when it comes to anything and everything is just you exist.
It's magic, man. It works.
Goodbye.
Have you seen how fantasy works? Anything goes.
We do this now. Wait, what do you mean? We do this now.
We do this now. What is this? Just as this.
Lightning everywhere. Goodbye.
Lightning everywhere. It works. Honestly, if they fill out the same roster that they had back in the old God of War games, where when you kill a god, you get their shit, this means I get to play with Mjolnir when I knock off Thor eventually.
That's the other thing when it comes to it is how do they want to go with the story? Do they plan on basically making it like one of the first games where you take over everything basically because all of the other gods are dead?
Just cut your way up the pantheon.
And is it like a repeating factor type of thing where it's like he takes out all the gods?
Just goes from pantheon to pantheon and just knocks off the gods.
Well, no, like that's the thing. He takes out all the gods and then he just kind of plummets the planet into chaos again. But that's actually the reason why everything kept progressing, is because the gods eventually fell. Because that's they're gone. Like people don't remember them because they're gone. So it's like that's how everything just slowly kept progressing. New gods would come, new gods would fall. Like
I mean, the logic is that after God of War 3, like he had hope, and so Athena was like, "Oh, I'll use the hope to rule as the only god," and he's like, no, stabs himself with the blade of Olympus and gives hope back to the world. So that might be how Greece or just the world ended up rebuilding, was with the hope Kratos gave back to them after he took it from the Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Which explains why he's so cynical these days.
Yeah, I mean at this point we're just diving way too deep into the lore. I don't think we're God of War lore nuts, but
well, I'm a lore nut in general, so it makes sense.
Well, yeah, but still, at the very least, the new God of War game has very high expectations. Like the last game built up so much that the momentum is there. All they got to do is just go downhill with it and push it off to victory. Like They don't.
What's gonna happen?
They don't. Yeah, they don't really need to build up much more from here. I mean, there's obviously going to be a build up
There's
when
obviously
you're
a point
playing the
already that
game.
you build it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like, what's gonna happen to Loki? Is he actually gonna become like the Loki in the myth? And how's that gonna happen? What's gonna happen to Tyr? What's gonna happen to Thor? And personally, my money's
well,
on the fact that he doesn't want to kill the gods this time because
well,
he saw
okay.
what happened last time he did that, but
Real
he doesn't
quick,
have a choice this
ignoring the Marvel universe, ignoring that.
time. I wasn't even bringing it up, but okay.
Well, no, just because the Loki isn't an actual, bloodline
Bad
brother.
guy.
Well, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no. He's not
Well,
part. Like he's not an actual.
he's not a
Yeah,
bloodline brother.
yeah.
Well, here's the
So
thing: he's not in the myth either.
that's okay. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's
Yeah.
like, is it the same in like
No,
the actual
no.
myth?
No, as far as my knowledge of mythology goes, there's actually no relationship between Loki and Thor. Loki's just another god who likes to cause mischief.
So
Or shit.
basically, Loki is just an outside force who's just kind of came in.
He's
He's
just
like,
another
I
member
am
of the
your
pan.
brother.
Yeah, no, he doesn't even have the brother thing. He's just like, he's just another god of mischief that likes to cause shit.
Okay.
As far as
Okay.
my knowledge goes.
So then chances are that's where they're going to go with that game. Is Loki is eventually going to kind of just join in, and because of some trauma or something's gonna happen, he's gonna be like, okay, mischief, all of you, you've deserved this. You've done this to yourself.
I mean, with the way they're playing it, it's like they've already established, like, for example, the Greek pantheon. Mimir's like, oh, they had that coming. Whereas this pantheon is also kind of having it coming because Odin's just a tyrannical monster. The other gods range from to horrid because they're, well, as far as the Aesir go.
Literally basically like the first game where it's like the gods are literally just causing chaos for everyone. Like they are not good rulers. They are just evil.
Well, I mean, in this case, it's more just Odin who micromanages everything. In the case of Zeus, it was, in the case of the Greeks, it was all the gods are terrible. In the case of it, it's not all the gods are terrible, but Odin likes to micromanage everything, and he is terrible, so.
Control freak. We do this now.
Exactly. So, it's that kind of thing where I think they're going to just. I don't think it's going to be Kratos who wants to come up the Pantheon. I think it's going to be Atreus who's like, hey, these people are not good. Let's stop them. And so he's gonna be like, okay, fine. That's why they go to war with the gods, not because he wants to, but because some like,
no matter
they're
what,
not good people.
No matter what, I get the vibes from Kratos that it's like, no, I do not want to repeat what I did again.
No, you think?
I don't want to risk.
Want to cause the apocalypse twice?
Literally, it's like I don't want to destroy humanity and all that. So let's not. Come on, guys.
Let's not do it again.
Can we stop being control freaks? No. Why not?
Why not? I mean, in this one, it is kind of predicted it's going to happen one way or the other, and the Aesir will die. So.
Well, I have the feeling. I have the feeling that his son is going to want to go and kill them, but he's going to show him that it's like, no, you don't need to kill everyone. You don't need to do what I did and kill everyone. You just, if you have to, kill some, but don't kill everyone.
Yeah, don't kill
just
everyone.
Don't leave some of them.
Which would make sense why Loki doesn't exactly, shall we say, have any good relationships with any of the other gods in myth, because I mean, he's not even technically a full-on Aesir. He's the son of a giant as far as the myths go, and I don't remember who his mother was. It only says that Loki is the son of a giant, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it literally says in the God of War that Kratos married a giant. So,
you know, it's though it's funny. It's like, giant.
Other
magical
giant.
no literally just giant, suddenly child, magical powers to go and mess with like time and space. Well, why?
The giants in this game are said to be a lot of hocus pocus, like much more knowledgeable about how the universe and magic works than all the other peoples, and that's why they're kind of at war, because Odin's kind of jealous that they know shit that he doesn't, and they're not gonna tell him.
How dare you have abilities that I don't?
That I don't.
Give it to me now. Let me control.
Like, the whole thing is, like, for example, the eyes they give Mimir and everything, and Tyr, are made of Bifrost crystals. and it allows them to travel between the realms by just opening up gates through the power of their eyes. And they know how to do that. The Aesir don't know how to do that, but they're not telling the Aesir.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's God of War right now.
That's God of War,
It's
so I'm
it's
probably gonna buy. I'm definitely gonna buy it.
I'd buy it, but like I don't have
You
a
didn't have PlayStation.
PlayStation, and
It's all right.
I have a 360, but no live, so kind of just gonna stick with PC for now. I was saying.
There are ways to get live without actually like buying it.
I know there are a few, but I'd rather not deal with that because it can be a little weird sometimes. A lot of weird stuff happens with that. So next up.
So that's God of War. We kind of jumped to the big one. Well, no, it starts with the presentation of that one. So we actually are weirdly enough in order right now. So
Yep.
keeping that train in line, let's talk Spider-Man.
Spider-Man
2 specifically.
So Marvel is basically coming out with a new Spider-Man, and I'm guessing.
wait, back up. You just said Spider-Man. I just want to address that. That is, I like to say.
I really did not, but okay. Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Whatever.
No. If we're doing this, they're coming out with a new Spooderman. Spooderman. All right.
That's official now.
So Spooderman, I'm guessing it's coming from the first game, where I forget how the previous Spider-Man game went, where it's like he's kind of running around the city. There's all these research stations and stuff like that. I have a feeling it's building off of that.
Well, I played it, so allow me to fill you in.
Well, no, real quick. Isn't at the ending of the last game he had Miles kind of like he showed Miles his powers, and then Miles was like, "Oh, I can do that too.
I can do this too now."
Yeah, it's like I can do that too.
I don't remember how it says Miles got his powers. I think it's the same generalish concept of how Peter got his powers.
No,
and then
no.
It's like an after credits scene.
That part I definitely remember is Peter got bit by the spider, and then a little bit later, Miles got bit by the spider. I can't remember at what point, but he did get bit by the same spider.
Well, I mean, in Spider-Man, the Marvels one they made, this is an old Peter who's been, well, not old, older Peter who's been doing this gig for quite a while. All the supervillains know him by name,
Yeah.
It's a well-established thing. He's a New York celebrity, It's not who's that guy? It's, that's Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
So
there we go.
He's been doing it for a while.
It's like,
and they establish Doc Ock and all that, actually in this game.
Yeah, and they're gonna be coming out with the big one, which is Venom. Question is what kind of origin are they gonna go with? Are they gonna go with the original, which was kind of just an alien pod, or are they gonna go with like a science experiment one? So
I think the logic has always been with Venom, it is an alien one way or
another. It is an alien one way or another. It's just in some stories I remember, I believe, don't quote me on it, but I believe how it works is some alien tech or some alien thing comes down, humans kind of mess with it, do some things, and they make parasite that latch onto you and just eat you, basically.
I believe how it doesn't really say how they're going to introduce him, but the logic was at the end of Spider-Man 1 was you're chasing down all these research stations. Funny you should mention them. Is that the son of Oz? I can't remember the guy who was originally Green Goblin.
Yeah, that guy.
The guy of Oscorp. His son. Him and Peter are actually friends. I believe that's also something that's also kind of brought up in the canon several times.
Yeah. In some stories it's like that. So,
in some stories it's like that, and the logic was that this guy, I can't remember his name, the son went off on a long trip, a long exchange trip way overseas somewhere. The truth is, he's not. The genetic condition inherited from his mother, which I don't remember what it is, but it's basically eventually it is terminal, so it will eventually lead to the death. He was diagnosed with it, and now he's in the late stages. So Oz, using the greatest superpower of all, money, decides to basically devote all this research, because Oscorp is a very big firm that specializes in a lot of things, for example, like biotech and stuff like that. Using all his research, he has kind of basically been hell bent on finding a cure for his son. In fact, when one of the missions, when you go behind the curtain and you see all these kind of like spiders in the tanks that they've been experimenting on, there's like this little, I don't want to say little, but there's like this massive thing in the back corner that's covered with like almost a blast shield essentially. And you don't actually see what that is till the very end, the after credits scene, where it's actually revealed that that's where Harry Osborn, that's his name, where the son, that is, where it's revealed that actually that's the tank they've been suspending Harry in this time. The whole thing about the trip was just a ruse so they can put him in the tank so they can basically try and, I don't want to say experiment on him, but basically try to find a way to cure him without anyone really raising an eyebrow about where he went.
Yeah.
And funny enough, they actually introduced the guy who was going to be the Lizard. They don't say he's going to become the Lizard, but if you know the comics, the doctor in that end cutscene, the big let's say him Oz Senior is addressing, he goes on to be the Lizard.
Yeah, he gets tested upon or something ends up happening. Yeah. I would say though, here's what I think's gonna end up happening. How I think it's gonna play out. The son's gonna turn into Venom. Father's gonna become Green Goblin, and then I guess Scientist becomes Lizard Man.
I think there's already like some animosity between Oz Senior and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's. They never say if it's happened already, I think, but I think it's hinted that at some point in the past he was indeed Green Goblin, but he's not the Goblin anymore. He's more or less retired that persona to go into evil businessman, which yay.
Money.
Well, I don't want to say he's an evil businessman. He just has a very big chip on his shoulder for Spider-Man, which if he was Green Goblin in the past, makes sense. So
get out of my business, Spider-Man.
Honestly, it makes sense if he was Green Goblin in the past why Oz Senior has such a chip on his shoulder for Spider-Man for some reason.
Yeah.
But in the tank with Harry, while he's suspended in this green fluid, is actually a black kind of like almost seaweed kind of thing. And in the end, when Oz Senior puts his hand on the tank, you see the thing just smack on the side of the tank on the hand as well. So it's hinted that might actually be Venom in the tank, which gives you the question: where the hell did he get it?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how it's acting like a seaweed. I'll need to look at that myself.
I want to say it's seaweed. It's just kind of it doesn't really like.
It just kind of seems like
it just kind of like drifts back and forth in the tank. So I want to say seaweed thing.
Okay, so is it kind of like he's inside of like this ball type of thing?
Not even. He's just kind of drifting in the tank with this thing just kind of around him.
All right. Then.
In some cases, it's kind of like attached to him. In some cases, I believe. Not physically, but just kind of like it's on him.
Okay. Then that goes to the point of it's some kind of experimentation where science is creating Venom, where some alien device or something came down, and now humans are setting it up so that it can attach to us now. Like, I think how it's going to work is it's going to be like a Venom symbiote where it naturally was able to attach to things, but it wasn't able to attach to humans because we were incompatible. So the scientists are trying to set it up so we are compatible, but doing it in such a way where we benefit as well.
If my memory serves, in the end scene where they kind of show all this, the doctor's like, Oz Senior's like, oh, bring him out of the tank, and the doc's like, we don't know what'll happen at this point. It's still very early on, stuff like that, basically. Like, oh, we're just not ready to do that yet. And he's like, just get him out of the tank. So, that happens, and a lot of people are saying, oh, that might be, Venom, and Harry might go on to become Venom.
Yeah. So. That's what I think. I think no matter what, he's probably going to become Venom, because in a lot of stories, I think he does get the Venom suit, the symbiote, once in a while. So there's that. I know for the most part, though, in most stories, the Spider-Man bully guy tends to end up getting the symbiote, because for some reason it's always the bully, and then the bully, gets a redemption arc where it's like, oh yeah, I'll be hero now. For all this torment you put me through. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and most of them it's like, oh, Eddie Brock gets it, and actually that's the one that gets it. And the old story was that Eddie Brock was another journalist, I believe, at the Daily Bugle as well, But because Peter just, had these ways of getting Spider-Man into New York, Spider-Man sells. He was always above him, so there was that kind of animosity between them. So when Eddie eventually got Venom, he was like, "I'm gonna kill Spider-Man for all the trouble he caused me while I was working." So
Yeah, I'm
that's kind of
gonna
where that
take
happened.
out Spider-Man, who's been helping people. That way, I can take down Peter Parker down a few notches, even though Peter Parker's literally just doing his job.
I think it was more of a duality hate. He hated Peter for overshining him. He hated Spider-Man for being the thing that caused Peter to overshine him.
Yeah, and he didn't realize it, but they're like the same person, so it's like,
Yeah.
hmm.
But
Subconsciously, his mind is combining the hate.
and interestingly enough, there's also a second movie coming out called Let There Be Carnage, where they introduce Carnage, but that's not in the gaming news sector. I just wanted to bring
Yeah,
that up.
that's a movie. They might. I hope it goes well. I'll be honest with you, because the Venom movie went well,
I
and
watched the Venom movie.
when it
I
comes,
have it. It's very good.
literally, I've looked so much into the stories of the symbiotes, and there's so much good storytelling that you could do with the symbiotes that I really do hope it goes well. Like,
Mm.
it's one of those things where it's like, please go well, because if it goes well, stuff like that goes a long way. It really
It
does.
does. It really does. But anyways, so yeah, they introduced Venom at the end of the trailer. They also show that, oh, forgive me, Miles is also fighting alongside Peter now more officially, which makes sense because Miles had his entire game where he's kind of building himself up, and he had that kind of sub arc where I want to say it was in the Bronx, but yeah, he had that entire side game where he's building himself up as his own character. When Peter goes overseas with MJ on some like filming trip,
Yeah.
so he kind of resolves that whole issue. Now he's kind of proven that he can handle himself. So they're fighting together, and now they introduced Venom. So
Mm. Big boy. Good luck.
Big Boy comes out now.
Good luck.
It's like Venom comes out. Gonna need a third Spider-Man.
I'm gonna just back off. Once this thing just launches its arm at me.
Here's the one thing though: if freaking I can't remember the son's name now. Again, I remembered it 10 minutes ago. I couldn't remember it now. But anyway, if the son does indeed become Venom, though, here's the thing: you actually learn throughout the whole like submission what exactly this disease that plagued Oz's wife was, and now that Harry's inherited, that's his name, Harry. Just remembered it again. Um, what his son Harry now has,
Yeah.
and you learn that it's a genetic disease, and it's very, very, very rare, but it's all so it's this idea of okay, we know Venom can fix body parts because Venom is Venom, Venom is symbiote, Venom can do that. But how does it fix genetics? Is it just gonna be like Venom is just a suit of steroids where it's just power through the pain? That'll be interesting to see if that happens. Or they might just go Eddie as the
I have a feeling
they
it
might just go
might
with
be
Eddie.
along the lines where the symbiotes probably, because how the symbiote tends to work is it tends to put the host, the body, into a state of stasis in a way.
Mm.
Like when it's actually fully controlled, like when it's like the big muscular host
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
that's when it's like going using all of its power, and that's when it kind of puts the host into a bit of a stasis type of feeling. So I think
Mm.
what it's going to do is put him into a stasis field type of thing and stop the genetic, problems from continuing, because it's like, well, his body's just frozen basically, even though it's not really frozen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's really weird to think about because
Mm.
in the
The more we
stories, the Venom symbiotes in general don't really mess with DNA. I mean,
yeah.
I know there's like an anti Venom, where a timeline where an anti Venom basically kind of became like a type of virus where it went around infecting everyone.
Mm.
But even then, all it really did was just cover them in the anti venom. I really don't think it just kind of consumed their body and they are the anti venom. I think it's just covers them in anti venom and that's it.
Mm.
So
The more we talk about the scene, the more I get that scene from the movie where Eddie's just busted up after having like being thrown from a bike, and you just see the venom covering him and just bending the fingers backwards, just snapping the leg back in place.
yeah, yeah, I remember that scene. Holy crap! Oh, that's a messed up scene when you think about it. Oh, I really hope that didn't like. Oh. if that actually was hurt, like that hurt while it was all snapping back into place.
Just
Oh,
breaking the.
just
Knowing Venom, it may be a 50-50. He might have done it. He might have not.
he might have dulled the pain just a little bit. It's like
Yeah.
I'd rather you be awake than pass
His
out from
bone,
the pain.
his legs just like facing like this way, and he's just snapping it back in place.
Yeah, snap back to reality.
Oh my god. Yeah, like I said, I have that movie. It's a good movie. I'll watch the next one. But
I don't
another
have it, but
topic.
I've seen enough that it's like, oh yeah, no, this is beautiful. It's beautiful.
If we ever get together, I'm gonna bring that movie and we're gonna see that movie. It's a good movie.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, next topic on the list, also having to do with Insomniac, which also side note. Oh no, not Insomniac. That's next on the list is Gran Turismo. Burping. Oh my goodness. You see that, for example, in Xbox, they use their new Forza, I believe it is. Is it Forza? I believe it's Forza.
Perhaps.
To basically hide all their rest of their games. And you see Gran Turismo kind of being thrown in with PlayStation with their big showcase reveal. Now, I'm not a big racing fan, so I'm not too sure how well racing games sell. Obviously, there is a market for them because they're on Gran Turismo 7, and who knows what Forza now. So there is clearly a market, and I do know that there are people who are very into racing games, understandably if they're like NASCAR nuts, or they're just car nuts in general. That exists. They say that like that's a thing that exists, right? Right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So clearly there is a market for it. They developed and here's the thing, of all their things, let me just maximize this video for a second. Of all the videos, here's the thing. I'm using GameSpot, which I believe is the one we linked in the comment section for this video, or not, the description for this video. So if you want to look at it, you can
for
see
the description, it should be both the full showcase and some of the major games. So
yeah, that came out of this.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. It was from GameSpot, and GameSpot actually took the time to dice up each individual section of their trailer, so we can see, where to jump to for each game. But it also kind of gives you a pretty rough idea of how much time PlayStation gave for each game. And if you look at Forza, it's a pretty sizable chunk. Like, you see God of War in the beginning that took up a pretty sizable chunk. Makes sense. People have been begging for that for a while. Spider-Man 2, not much.
Yeah, it was like...
And you see Gran Turismo, which I think is like... Let me just do the math here. 40... 437, 437, and then 4. Hold on, let me just do some quick math for a second as I pull up my calculator.
I'm gonna share like maybe 20% of the video, but alright.
Oh no, it'll be some quick math. Okay. Let's just say
quick math.
740 if I can get my 0. 740 minus 437. That gave them about 3 minutes and 3 seconds just for Gran Turismo, which, when you think about it, this is a showcase that's 21 minutes. So that's a decent-ish chunk-ish, considering how many games are in there.
Here's the thing. When it comes to, like, racing, driving, and all that, there's a lot of games where you can kind of just drive in whatever you want. Like... There's literally one game, Gary's Mod, literally the mod fest of games. But no, when you think about it, in Gary's Mod, you could drive whatever you want. You can fly whatever you want. As long as there's a mod for it, you can do that. Like, when you think about it, driving and flying and all that, it can be pretty fun. It's just, when it's just, racetrack driving. Follow this track. Why are you going backwards on the track? Follow the track. Turn around.
What's that old Jeff Dunham joke? They're going left.
Left. You
thing.
turn right one more time. I'm gonna force you left. Okay, we're picking you up. Get back on the track.
Okay, my goodness, that's not a good angle.
Like,
and I'm not gonna. And don't get me wrong. If you like racing games, I don't mind racing games personally. So as much as it sounds like I'm kind of knocking them.
No. Like I said,
I'm not really knocking.
It's good.
Well,
it's just
what I'm saying,
it's just when it comes to like a driving game, it's more replayability if you get the ability to do more than just drive on a track. It's like follow this set path every single time. It's like sure, you could have like maybe 100 tracks or maybe 350 tracks or 7,000 different vehicles to drive. But eventually that's going to get very boring because it's just going to be basically the same thing, just a different look every time. Like
Yeah.
if you can kind of have a little bit of an open-ish world where you can just kind of drive wherever you want, you can go at your own pace. Mind you, you can also, just drive slowly or, be one of those people who like just follows every rule of the law when it comes to driving, every stop sign, every stop light. Just perfect. One of those people. Like that's the thing. You can do more with it with a driving game if you get that ability, because then more people will keep playing it.
Yeah.
Like it feels it feels like it's just going to be like a bit of a competitive like game.
Well, here's the thing. You see that now, and actually with Forza, because Microsoft's been using it a lot during their commercials to kind of like not only mask the other games, but also kind of like give something, which I feel like these big companies are doing. They're just like, here's a big racing game to kind of mask all of the other games they've gotten and things, so they don't have to reveal anything yet, just to kind of kill for time. But here's the thing. You kind of see a trend, especially in Forza now, where they're trying to give a more open world driving experience. So what you said actually is something I think they are taking into account for stuff like that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, take a game like Grand Theft Auto. When I was playing that game, the majority of my time was just spent driving around doing whatever. I didn't really run around doing missions. I didn't run around throwing bombs on people. I just drove. Like,
yeah,
it's an open world. Drive wherever you want. You don't have to follow a path, but you can. Like,
yeah.
It's just a little more fun that way when it comes to driving, because you get that ability to just drive at your own pace. You don't have to race people. You don't have this big timer above your head that says you've got 5 minutes. Good luck.
You got 5 minutes to get from here to here.
Like, good luck. You better win. If you don't win, you lose, and then you got to keep playing this over and over until you win.
So, and here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. There is like one thing that racing games do very, very well, because they're not rendering massive open world with massive detail and stuff like that. They get really hyper specific in the graphics they do. Like, if you ever want to see graphics way ahead of their time in like the generations they're on, play one of these racing games, because here's the thing. They know that, forgive me,
well, I mean, that's the thing. It comes down to the rendering, and you don't have to render that much, because you just have to set up the path of the map to be in such a way that, like, if you set up some walls right here, well, just fancy them up with some details of building details and all that, and then voila, you like focus on everything else. Like,
that's the thing. They know for a very long time that racing games are just go here, go there. So that gives them a lot of rendering time and rendering power, because the more powerful the consoles get, the more they can develop all that power per game into just rendering each individual thing of the vehicles. And like I said, if you look at some of how the vehicles look, for example, for what Forza, whatever it is these days, and Gran Turismo 7, which was in the PlayStation Showcase, the car details are literally insane. Like, the amount of like micro details they get is insane, and that makes sense because there's not much to render. It's just one track, a bunch of cars.
It gets to the point where it's like, is reality anymore?
Like, admittedly, like, I don't care much for racing games. I admit. Might have gotten that from how I talk, but I will give credit where credit's due. The graphics in racing games are like very much ahead of their time in some cases, because of how like they get to use the full console power that is, again, usually used for rendering massive world with massive detail, or a bunch of details, the small details they have to do minor. But now they just have to do massive city, roads, really, really nice looking car. Like, there is one shot of a car in this new Gran Turismo with the city skyline in the background that is absolutely gorgeous. Like, I will give credit where credit's due. Like, graphics in racing games are very top notch. So well done to them.
Oh yeah, no, they go beyond with it, because it's like, why not? We've got all
not much else to rate. Not much else to render.
We got all this processing power. All right, let's do it.
Honestly, like, that's the advantage of having simplistic games these days, because you have much more power to render much more smaller details. So that's Gran Turismo 7. I don't believe this has actually a release date.
No, I don't think it's set with a release date.
Let me just see. Oh, yeah, it is, actually.
Oh, okay.
This one, for those who want to pick it up, is actually March 4th, 2022. So you'll be waiting at least a few months.
Yeah,
And you'll be finding that as a running trend in this video, that all these games are going to be coming out
Well,
next year.
I mean that yeah, that's the thing. At least next year, and I mean March of next year isn't that far away, so that's actually pretty good. That's not too bad.
And it's March 4th, so it's early March. But here's the thing. You notice that a lot of these games are, if they have a release date, they're getting pushed back to either February to late February, beginning March. That seems to be like the safe window everyone in the games industry has decided on these days, because nobody wants to be a cyberpunk these days. Or
Yeah,
in the
but
early days of the
get
pandemic, everyone's like, well, pandemic, pandemic, pandemic. As a code developer myself, I can see the issues that come with a pandemic
well,
as a guy who's
here's the
gone through
thing.
software development
Here's the
remotely.
thing.
But
Take me for a quick example, because
mm.
I know coding and I know fairly well how
He
this
does. I was in the
works.
same class with him.
Yeah. When it comes to programming, you can do it technically anywhere. As long as you have the software and you have the ability to access said software. So if you are coding on a server, but you're home, as long as you have access to that server, you can code literally anywhere. My father does that. He can be home and program it at the same time. Like, you can do that.
Excuse me.
So
He's an HTML programmer, for those who are wondering.
a little bit, but not exactly. But
Mm.
close. But but when it comes down to it, when you're just programming for a video game, you can do that anywhere. When you're just designing for a video game, you can do that anywhere. Modeling, you can do that anywhere. Technically, the modeling and designing part you can do technically anywhere. I mean, maybe they'd put it on a server for security, but technically you don't really need to. You just need to set it up, send it to the guys so that they can slap it onto the game. All right, render this image with this line of code.
Here's the thing.
It's weird.
It is that question of why are there so many delays, but when you look at it in the past, it is kind of not surprising because many analysts in the industry said that when the pandemic first broke out, you're not going to see the delays as soon as the pandemic broke out because most of the games that were getting released at that point were already mostly done.
Yeah,
there's nothing really to do left.
Real quick, I'm not factoring in the whole, setting up the actual discs and making sure everything's play tested and all that actual physical stuff. That's still gonna take a while. All right, we are still having like this microbe thing going and beating and punching people out. So that sure stuff's gonna take a while. But when it comes to like the actual primary development of a game, that really shouldn't take too it should just be maybe an extra month at most.
Well, again, there is that kind of concept of like how much work are they putting in. Again, going back to Gran Turismo, the details in there are insane. So I'm guessing the
modeling department's just
the
kind
art
of having
department
a
is
whole
just
heyday with it. It's like we go.
Yeah, they're just kind of like rooms and rooms and rooms of like models and details and stuff they have to draw out and stuff. So
it's just like that's the thing though. It's like I can understand at the very most when it comes to developing a game, a month, maybe 2 at most for extra time. Yeah. It really shouldn't be that much of a hassle to be able to develop the game from anywhere. Like, as long as, because by now, people have the ability to do such. At first, I could understand it. Like, when all this first hit, I can understand the delays, because nobody really had a plan. Now, you should have a plan, because if you're a good company, you'd probably want to set up a plan. That way, you're not being hassled by this microbe thing that's costing you all this money.
Well, here's the thing. Like I said, when the analysts first analyzed it, so like, you're not going to see delays now. Because most of the games that are out by the time the pandemic hit were already mostly finished anyway through the regular development cycle. Yeah. It's games much later, like next year, as in this year, where you'll see all the delays, because then you're starting to see games that are getting developed in this environment. That will slow down progress, admittedly. Yeah. It's not impossible, but it is slowing down progress. I just find it suspicious that everyone seems to be targeting the same late February, early March window to release these games in. It feels a little suspicious, which goes back to the idea of maybe it's cyberpunk, because on a side note, well, we'll get into the cyberpunk bit later. There's still a lot to cover, and I'd rather not sit here for 3 hours talking about it.
We can save cyberpunk for another day. We'll save
cyberpunk for another day. I'll cover that point maybe near the end of the video. But anyways, moving on. Ghostwire. Oh, for the love of. Go away, Magic the Gathering. Forgive me. I have all this.
Magic.
I have the entire video pulled up on the side of the screen right now. I
Well,
went to the next one to cover it, and then.
well,
Okay,
for the
Magic the Gathering.
showcase, there were a good couple more games going to be coming out. So I'm thinking, find one or
Alan Wake.
yeah, yeah. There's Alan Wake, which to me seems like a
Interestingly enough, that's
mix.
one of the games that is not getting delayed. It's coming out October. Actually, I think it was 7th. Holy. Let me
I
just
think
back that up and just corroborate that.
I think while we're waiting, I think that one's gonna be kind of like a mix between
Remastered. It's a remaster of the original Alan Wake. So if you like that, you'll like this.
hmm.
October, my wire's in the way, forgive me. October 5th. The one game that's not coming out this year. Or the one game that's not going to come out next year, I should say. So anyways, moving on.
I was gonna say, hold on a minute. It's not this year. Wait a minute.
What time are we at, actually, anyway?
We're about 50. Well, I'd say we're about 46 or so.
We got some time.
We were a few minutes late.
We have a few minutes late, so don't worry. You'll get your hour of content at least. So anyways, Ghostwire Tokyo after Alan Wake, which I'm not going to touch on because I don't really know much of Alan Wake, but it is coming October 5th again. So if you want it, that's when you get it.
Yep.
Forgive me, we have to glance over some games here otherwise because there's admittedly quite a few in the showcase. We'll never get to the good ones by the time.
I mean, for me, I already forget its name, but there was one game, a Death Loop game. That one caught my attention.
Yes.
That one caught my attention.
Because he is an Arcane fan, ladies and gentlemen.
Arcane fan? What?
The guys who developed Dishonored 2, and Prey.
I didn't even realize that. No.
No.
It caught my attention because it's like, oh yeah, we are all dead. We're alive again.
We're alive again. I feel like that would be a pain in the neck to do. I'm not even going to question how they're going to do that gameplay loop. I honestly won't play it because it never really caught my attention. I like the art style and the sound.
How it's going to work is it's going to be kind of like a loading system where if you die early, like at any point, it just boom, you'll wake up again. Like you'll just kind of just wake up.
What, like a roguelike, you think, where it's like back to the beginning?
Yeah, type of thing like that, where it's like you wake up on a certain day in a certain scenario, and every time you die, you just suddenly wake up there because everything's already played out already, and everything went back to the loop. So you could be like 5 minutes into the loop, die, and it's like, all right, back to the beginning.
Yeah, it's like I can kind of see that. So it is an interesting dynamic. I think it'll be probably like a roguelike.
Yeah, I think how it's going to work is basically you're going to have to slowly go and learn what you need to do, what steps you need to take during that day in order to break the loop. It's going to be like one of those literally stories where it's like, all right, trial and error. Time to see if I can kill everyone, or if I could just kill some people, or if I could break this, or maybe I blow up that. I'm just gonna try everything, because that's basically probably how the story is going to work.
I may play it, I may not. Personally, I doubt it. It didn't really catch my attention. I like roguelikes, don't get me wrong. I like things like Dishonored, but
to me, the only reason why it caught my attention is because
I've seen...
Well, no, here's the thing. It caught my attention because of the whole death loop thing. Because you've seen it. There's been a couple movies lately where like there's been a death loop type of thing, but having a game of that is actually interesting. Having that type of
things
mechanic.
Like Returnal for PS5, which basically plays on that idea of the death loop too, which I did play.
Yeah, but
it's a nice game.
But how I feel like this one's going to be is because how the premise seems to be built up from is everyone who's in an area is kind of just stuck there. There's no way off this island or something. The planes are destroyed. These maniacs keep killing themselves or anyone. So there's that.
Yeah.
So this guy wants to figure out why it was made, but also why this one person seems to be a step ahead of him. Which I have a feeling that side character, beside the main character maybe, or main characters...
Moving on
is probably going to have some kind of memory type thing where they can keep remembering what happens throughout every loop.
I
So
believe it's for both. If memory serves of what they're saying so far, both people know one guy wants to just leave the loop and he's just there for whatever reason. The other person is hell-bent on protecting the loop, probably because she was paid to, so it's this kind of clash of assassins, essentially. But I
maybe.
won't get too far into that because there's a lot to cover still, and I don't want to get bogged down in these specific. I want to get bogged down, if anything, on the Old Republic. There's a lot to talk about there, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, well,
So
it's a
Ghostwire Tokyo.
remaster.
So Ghostwire Tokyo. I've actually watched this thing back when it got revealed at, I think, the Game Awards a few years ago. It was very
I
interesting.
think
I'll
so.
probably play this game because it's a particularly interesting concept. I feel like it would be a good VR game. If you've seen like
Mm.
Ghostwire's trailers, it feels like a good, like it feels like one of those early VR games with like
Well,
how the characters are designed. I think in a
isn't
way,
that a third person game?
it's actually first person. First
Okay,
person.
okay.
So
Maybe,
it does
maybe.
give that idea of like a VR game, but much better. I'll probably look
It's
into it
just
much later
it
on.
depends. I mean, when it comes to VR, you don't want too much movement. Too much visual movement always throws people off, and it doesn't
People who don't
end
have good
well.
stomachs just throw
Yeah,
up in their thing.
it doesn't end well for people. I mean, for me,
It's fine for me.
I could go and literally have my face glued to my screen and it just spinning around. Basically, I don't care.
Yeah, no,
But
I don't care.
some people do, and I mean
Yeah.
that's just kind of the visual illusion type thing where I mean when you think about it, if people are literally vomiting because of that, you're doing
There's
something.
a problem.
No, you're doing something right with VR because you're making
You're
it
doing
more
something
real
right with
life.
VR, but
You are making it more realistic. It's just
ladies and
they're not
gentlemen,
going to
like the
get
fighter
it.
pilot game, we'll give you the illusion of playing. We'll give you the illusion of it being a fighter pilot, as well as the sick stomach that comes after being a fighter pilot.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah.
So
I
it's like
mean,
after you get out of the thing.
like that's the thing though. It's like you're doing something right if you're making people actually have that kind of reaction. Like you're giving that actual realism that the eye is actually thinking it's real.
Yeah.
It's just, you're going to push people off because obviously they're not going to be able to play it
Makes them
because
sick, literally.
you know, if you can't
Don't get
play
me wrong.
5 minutes in a video game that's VR, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. This isn't a VR game, Ghostwire. It just, I feel like it would lend itself very well to VR. It is a first person game. It looks very pretty. I'll probably play it
Mhm.
because it's a very interesting premise of being stuck in Tokyo where everyone is just dead or gone or them evil
Parasite.
demons, man. Get them holy water.
Infected with whatever unholy things are happening here.
Whatever unholy thing. So that one coming out in spring 2022. So I have to wait a while for that one. Interestingly
A
enough,
little
it's
bit.
raining a lot though in this game though, so that would make sense. Spring in Tokyo. I guess it rains a lot in Tokyo.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I
surrounded
wouldn't know.
by
I wouldn't have been
water.
there.
It's surrounded by ocean, so yeah, yeah.
I
They
wouldn't
don't
know.
really
I've been to
get
Tokyo.
snow. They really don't.
The
get
best
that.
I've been to Tokyo is in games, but you know I'm gonna go one day maybe. But anyways, here's the big one on the list I wanted to address. I wanted to address Ghostwire more, but yeah, time prevents me. Here's the one that I will address a lot of time too. Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Bomb, lightsaber, sword,
Well,
go
Knights of the Old
whoosh
Republic.
whoosh.
Sorry. Whoosh whoosh.
The
Light
first.
sword. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Don't.
Here's
I'm
the
making
thing.
light of it, but I'm actually a major Star Wars fan.
Yeah, here's the thing. The first game was great. Second game had a fair amount of problems, even to this day. Both the PC and console version still has the problems where crash. But tis what it is.
It is what it is.
The first game though was very good with its storytelling on like what was happening and how things were playing out. So the
Yes, I
question
agree.
is, obviously they're going to make everything from the first game and basically put it into the remaster, and they're going to obviously sprinkle in some new graphics.
Well, here's the thing.
And whatnot.
Here's the thing, though. It's a remake. That
Mm.
might not sound like much, but depending on who you ask in the games industry, exact words matter. Well, I'd say it always matters, but
Yeah.
specifically, here's the thing, though. They're giving it to a studio that usually does remakes and upgrades for games. For example, Commando Squadron, for those who played that on the old PC on the day. Again, I played it. Very good game. They put those on consoles. So they have experience upgrading those old Star Wars games onto more modern gen platforms, but they've never actually upgraded as far as I can tell. So it's interesting that they've now been given this entire old game from the Star Wars era, which again they've worked with a lot before, and they've
Yeah.
been saying, here, remake it for the most modern console of
See,
PlayStation.
see, I always thought of it as it was getting remastered, but remake's a special word because
Remake's a special word in this
like
industry.
when you hear remaster, literally I thought, okay, they're taking the old game, they're taking all that content, they're gonna probably add upon it, they're gonna sprinkle some new graphics, maybe add a few new quests. There you go. Remake is literally we're gonna change everything and anything. Like they could make,
Which does
like,
give them a lot of wiggle room, which is a problem because this is already a very good game. Don't fix what isn't broken, kind of thing.
at the very
So,
most, I hope they keep the primary story, the primary plot, in most of the major quests. Like, I hope they just keep that. Because I know the word remake definitely is going to mean they're going to change a lot. Like, there's going to
well,
be a
here's the
lot
thing.
they are going to
It
change.
it depends because, like I said, in this industry, exact words, especially in legal terms, matter. But here's the thing: depending on who you ask, it means more than some others. For example, take the Final Fantasy series. Remake, remaster, they use those words interchangeably like they're basically
Yeah,
different forms of water.
yeah.
But all the end of they're doing is, sure, maybe they'll change up the narrative somewhat, but they boost the graphics up 6,000 times. And the core game and the core gameplay storyline is still there. So,
That's how I feel
mm,
like one of two things will play out with this now. Either the first way is it's basically going to be like the old game. They're probably going to add some new quests, new graphics, make it nice and all that. Or the second way is they're going to make it more open worldy, where instead of like the finite map that it always was, they're going to add upon the world more and allow
that
you to
could work.
explore more things.
That could
Thus,
work.
yeah, like, and because of that, they're going to make more quests because, I mean,
Why not?
let's not leave the whole world empty now, shall
Empty.
we?
Don't be like GTA.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's this
But
whole world,
but half of it is empty.
nothing to do.
Nothing to do.
You can
Ah,
explore it.
yes, No Man's Sky in a nutshell.
Yeah, you can explore, but there's nothing there.
Well, there's nothing.
But why?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's remake and remaster, and like I said, in this industry, I tell this to everyone. In this industry, especially legally, oh, always legally, but in this industry especially, exact words matter. But here's the thing: in games of how games are structured, depending on who you're dealing with, they mean more to some than others. For
Yeah.
example, Final Fantasy,
Going
made by
back to
Square
Final,
Enix, they
literally
use those words interchangeably.
yeah, literally going back to Final Fantasy is like it doesn't matter. But
It really doesn't matter what they call it.
but this is a different company who's kind of done this thing for a while, so
They kind of know how to treat Star Wars because, again, they've been upgrading other versions of old games. For example, like I said, Commando Squadron is now on the PS5 and PS4 because they ported it over from the old uh, PC, which, as far as I can tell, has been a very good reception. And from
well,
what I
yeah.
hear, they've
Oh yeah.
done very, very good work in those ports. So they know what they're doing when it comes to Star Wars. They've been porting it over for a while now.
Oh yeah, no, like an actual group company type thing that does ports. Oh yeah, no, they do it well because there's a type of market for that type of thing, and you have a group of people who are doing that. No, they're gonna be good. They're gonna be good. Like
Mm-hmm.
they want it done right. They will do it right.
And they're clearly hyping up the idea of it's going to be the same, but there will be something because like the literal end card for the whole thing is a legend remade for PS5, which
Mm-hmm.
means they're going to probably use like I'll just say this: if they use half the graphics that they're using for the Mask of Revan as they're using in this trailer, it's going to be one hell of a good looking game.
Oh yeah, no,
With
it's
considering how the PS5 performs in terms of its high power graphics, it's very plausible. It's very plausible. I am very excited to see if that is indeed what it is. I would actually be somewhat disappointed if it wasn't a graphical boost and it was just a straight up port.
yeah.
Because if they're saying, oh, for PS5 specifically, then, PS5 is very powerful for those who don't know. There's a lot to work with there graphically.
Well, I mean that's the thing. It's like there's so many basic level stuff that you could improve upon, that literally if you just took the exact game for what it was, just improved every little graphical thing, like all the textures, all the visual HUD stuff, and even fixed up some of the mechanical stuff when it came to moving, combat, stuff like that. You fixed up a little bit of that,
Yeah.
made it a little more modern. Yeah, like that
It
alone.
worked.
That alone. Literally, you're
Would
not.
be
You wouldn't really be messing with the basic code of how the game functions and how the story runs. So you're fine there. Like
yeah.
that's the thing.
So
Like
there you go.
it's going to be one of those two scenarios where it's like they're gonna make the game really nice, or they're going to probably open the world up more, because it's like
Maybe a bit of both.
it's one of those games where it's like back in the day you would call it an open world. Nowadays you would not
Yeah,
call it
back in
an
the day,
open
you
world.
would not. It's
No,
I believe nowadays it would be called a semi-open world
no,
because there are much bigger things these days.
no, not even. I would just say it's like just path. Everything is just a set path. It's kind of just like a Dark Souls type of thing. Like everything's set in a set map, no matter what. Like there's no real open world at all when you play that game. But back in the day, no, that was definitely what you would classify open world.
Like, I remember playing it on my Xbox 360, buying an Xbox version because my Xbox actually could play the Xbox. My Xbox 360 could play those Xbox games, and I remember playing it for Xbox, and it was very good. Weirdly enough, where I first got experience to this on my own little personal story was actually at the dentist. Yeah, no kidding. I was actually sitting in the dentist's office after getting a cleaning, and they had like the Xbox 360 out there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this is a very fun game. And I'm like, what is this? Oh, that's what it's called. And I bugged my parents the entire, we got to find this game. And actually on that day, we did find an old Xbox One, or not Xbox One, just the original Xbox copy of that game. And I was lucky enough that my Xbox 360 could play those old games. And I believe I still have that copy of the game.
Yes, yes.
I have a version of it for disc also for the first one. And
this will make
PC,
a fine addition to my collection.
And so that's where I played it after that at home on my Xbox 360. I also have a PC version of both the first and second game of that for disc as well, though. But yeah, that was my first experience, weirdly enough, at the dentist. Who said nothing good comes out of the dentist? But anyways, they don't give any release date for this, though. It just says remade for PlayStation.
Yeah.
And there's again Asper,
who
is the one to do all the porting.
Weren't people basically saying that there were whispers of a remastering, basically?
Yeah, that's the thing. There were whispers of this happening for a long time now, but no one ever saw any collaborating evidence. This is the first time they've been like, oh, it's a thing.
Yeah, but wasn't there like kind of evidence like at least a month ago or 2 months ago?
Not to my knowledge, but I could be wrong. Like,
yeah,
I'm not omnipotent.
I think at the very most, I think 1 month ago they started to work on a little bit on what they're going to be doing and making a plan. And then 2 or maybe 3 months ago, they were going and having talks to go and do this. So if anything, it's probably just in solid development right now.
Yeah, and as far as I know, like maybe a year or two ago or something, there were whispers of it being made, but no one, like, it's like, oh, it's hearsay at this point. No one really knows.
Yeah, no,
this is the first time it's really been official.
I seriously think it's just one of those situations, like, for New Vegas.
I rubbed it off, admittedly, when I first heard the rumors.
But no, I think it's like the same type of situation, like, for New Vegas, where it's basically like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna get a second game, or oh yeah, we're gonna get that. No, it's probably not gonna happen. Doubt it. Like,
again,
take it for what it is when it comes to rumors that you start to see on the internet. Give it at least 2 weeks. If you don't see anything new besides, oh, this could happen in 2 weeks, forget it. Forget it for a little while.
It's dead.
Well, no, don't say it's dead, but just forget it for now, because it's not going to happen now.
Yeah, no.
If you hear rumors, give it 2 weeks. After those 2 weeks are up, just set it aside.
It'll probably may or may not happen, but it'll be for a while.
Yeah, put it on the back burner. Focus on the other things for now, because the other things, at least you know, are going to be definitely coming.
And here's the funny thing about this. This trailer we have at the thing concludes with something I find very nice.
Mm.
Again, let's just run down the companies who are working on it. We got Asper, I believe that's how they pronounce their name, which has been doing all the ports. They're the ones developing it. You have PlayStation, their symbols on it, so they're officially funding this project. So it's clearly going to have a lot of budget, so we might get those high power graphical upgrades after all.
Oh yeah.
And obviously, we have Lucasfilm Games, who obviously owns the right. No kidding, their name's going to be on this. But guess whose name's not on this? EA. Ah, that's already promising.
Yep. Well, I mean, here's the thing. EA doesn't have a good track record with Star Wars. They don't.
As far as I know, like,
like
as a guy who trades,
they've done one good game, and it was
and that was
single
by
player.
accident, technically.
It was a single player game, and literally, it came out right after the CEO went and jinxed himself. Like,
yeah, he's like, that'll never happen. Happens. Wow, what do you know?
Single player games are dead. Jinx himself.
Single player games are dead. Makes a single player game that breaks records. Ah, yeah, totally dead.
Yep.
So
I'll be honest. I have a feeling there were some people who bought that game just to spite him.
Yeah, there were people who bought that game to spite him.
It's like, how dare you say single player is dead? No, it's not.
There's a lot more things in this showcase, actually. I just realized I'm watching the best of trailer, not actually the showcase itself. But these are some of the best things that are covering. They do a lot of, again, small things. Actually, the showcase weirdly enough, as I'm looking at the actual showcase, it actually opened up with this, interestingly enough. Not God of War. I just forgot I'm watching the best of showcase, so whoops. But like I said, there's a lot of things to cover in this showcase.
Yeah.
If we covered it all, we'd never have enough time. I know you guys don't like multiple hours.
Well, I mean,
what time are we at now? Curious enough.
Yeah, we're about almost an hour 15. So.
Okay, we'll make this. We'll try.
We'll wrap up. We'll start wrapping up. I mean,
we'll start wrapping up. There are a few things to touch on, but they're quick.
Yeah, the big thing is the main part of the showcase. I would say to watch out for is really like the God of War, the racing game, and then there's some minor ones like, well, the Star Wars, that one's gonna be a while. At the very least,
that one's gonna be a while.
Yeah,
at least not for another year until we get a release date.
Yeah, it's going to be at least a year.
But here's the thing, like I said, there's been murmurs of this development for quite some time, so who knows how long they've been working on it at this point. Yeah, this might just be another tease until like another year, for another 2 months where they're just like, here's a release date.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, there is that potential, but still.
Because I know when murmurs come out about a game, that's when it goes into development, and when you officially hear about it, that's when they're officially releasing it, but it could have already been in development since way back when the murmurs came out, which, if I remember correctly, have been at least a few, let's say 1 or 2 years at this point. No, not even.
No.
Let's say a year at this point.
I wouldn't even say a year. I'm pretty sure it started at 2021. I'm pretty sure it started around now. Not too long ago.
Long story short, as well as remakes don't take as much time to make technically, so long as you don't change too many things, because they've already got a story and everything worked out. They just, if they want to expand it, just make new character models, stuff like that.
Yeah, like I said, if you leave the base game alone, like the basic mechanics, the basic code for all the story and the AI and even the character movement and all that, you leave all that alone, just change the textures, change the HUD, and then if you really want to, like, go extra mile with it, fix and improve some of like the basic mechanics on like moving, looking around, stuff like that. Yeah, maybe fix a little bit of that. Yeah, like fix some of that. Yeah, no, that won't take an extreme amount of time. It will take some time, but not an extreme amount of time.
Yeah, no, not an extreme amount of time. But anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
We do have Project Eve, which is a new one we have yet to hear about, which seems to be something of I don't want to say a side project, because the graphics look very well. But then again, in the modern age we live in, even the basic games look graphics. What doesn't? It looks like very interesting. It gave me, I'll be honest, for those who've seen the Project Eve trailer, I got Bayonetta vibes watching it. Maybe it's the tight jumpsuit and the slide kicks. I don't know.
Of course.
Hey. If you've seen Bayonetta, that's exactly what it's known for.
Della enemy, look at me go.
Oh,
I am Japan.
I believe it is made out of that end of the world though. So,
What are you gonna do?
well, I mean, again, like I said, when I watched it, I originally got Bayonetta vibes between like the dark hair and everything.
Yeah.
It
Well, no,
just,
I'll actually be honest with you. For the first few seconds before I saw like any real character or face or anything, I actually honestly thought that for a moment. Like just
but
for the
now in
first few
retrospect, as I say this, I'm like,
seconds.
wait, this is a PlayStation trailer, not a Nintendo trailer. It'd be really weird if Bayonetta was coming out on PlayStation.
Hold
Nintendo
on.
got that kind? I doubt it.
Hold up a minute.
Yeah, I completely forgot I was watching a PlayStation show. I'm like, Bayonetta? Like,
Mm,
but so yeah, that's a thing. It looks promising. Again, graphics look very nice. We don't really get much in terms of story, but the combat looks very, very fast paced, very intense.
oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
I suspect there's never going to be a dull moment in this game.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's gonna kind of be like Dark Souls like, where it's like you're probably gonna be fighting something every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah. You're gonna constantly be
Ah,
upgrading, constantly be saving, and
.kr, if I'm not mistaken, that's Korea, but I could be wrong.
mm,
But anyways, so anyway, interesting concept. Really
yeah.
interesting. We don't get any release date for that. It's a thing.
What we do know about it is parasite alien stuff, I guess.
I'm not sure about that.
I don't even know what that is. I don't know what I saw. All I saw was something on top of people and buildings.
And buildings, lots and lots of
And
buildings.
a lot of eyeballs. Which, I'm just saying, gave me a lot of zombie game. Can't remember it.
Eh.
I forget what that one game. The T virus and all that.
Oh, you mean freaking Resident Evil.
Yeah, Resident Evil vibes. I'm getting a lot of
Eh.
a little bit of that because there's
If the Resident Evil characters look that good, then
well, no, I'm talking about Raccoon City. Remember that one character? Yeah, the one character with the eyeball. Yeah, I'm getting I'm getting those vibes.
Eh. Anyways, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure we ding 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 it. There's only like 2 more left to do.
Mm-hmm.
Forspoken. This one was actually shown off a little bit ago, if memory serves, but then it kind of went under the radar, and it's back now. Looks very promising. Looks very mystical, magical, very that kind of thing.
Jump around, shoot magic.
Jump around, apotheosis stuff.
Yeah, I think really.
Harry Potter word.
Yeah, really quickly. I think how that game's probably gonna play out is like you get sent to this new world, and now you have to save it, and then you're kind of gonna actually learn the full ramifications of everything going on in the world, like why people are doing what they're doing, and then you kind of either be given a choice or something like that. It's like kill them or don't kill them.
Not kill them.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, the typical isekai plot.
Yep. I honestly feel like something like that might happen. Then again, it might just be like a run around shooter type thing where it's like, no, just kill them. Good luck.
I feel like they're playing with the story though, so it might be a little more intense than that.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, that's Forspoken. Again, I'd like to go over these more, but time forbids it.
Time passes.
And then time has passed. And then there's one that I personally don't have too high hopes for. The next Marvel's game that comes out of the guys that made Marvel Avengers.
Here we go again.
Yes, this one is for Guardians of the Galaxy. I believe it is called. Yes, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Someone trusted Square Enix with another Marvel's game after their whole business with Marvel's Avengers. Whoever's making the decisions at Marvel should be fired.
once again, I'll just say this: Guardians of the Galaxy being changed of their design once again. Like,
well, I don't know. I've only seen their movie designs and
no, I've seen them, like their design
comic wise.
No, not even just the comic. Literally, if you involve every little thing the Guardians of the Galaxy have been in, there's a few resemblant type things that always show up, but most of the time they just change their character, like their basic character is there, but everything else just always changes. There's always something new. Like Raccoon Boy, why does he have this goatee thing going on?
like here's the thing. Here's the thing. The last time that they did this, they tried to go for what I can only describe admittedly as a cheap knockoff version of the movie characters look. Which,
No,
mm-mm.
no.
If you're gonna do something like this, try to take your own take on it because it looks a little desperate otherwise.
Well, that's
If
the
you're gonna
thing.
have the kind of like look, at least get the look.
Yeah, that's the thing. When it comes to movie and gameplay, always just separate the two. Try to have one set thing for the movie and one set thing for the game. That way it's different and you're not pushing your luck with designing.
Unless the movie, in the case of Star Wars, is the only thing you have to go off, in that case, fine. But in the case of, like, for example, Marvel, where there's comics, there's movies, there's this, and that, try to take your own original spin on it or something akin to it, because otherwise it just looks a little weird where I'm looking at almost the uncanny valley of something that looks like the
Well,
person, but it
well, I
doesn't look like
mean
the person.
that's the thing. Like a game like Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront, you have a lot of like the hero characters, the Jedi and the Sith, that look fairly like their movie counterpart. It just depends on how you go about doing it. Like, are
Yeah,
you gonna do it right or are you gonna do it wrong? Because a lot of the time it seems like people try to recreate a character from a movie, but do it in such a way where it's like, oh yeah, but we're gonna put our own spin into it, and because of that, it gets brutally messed up.
I believe that was Marvel's Avengers whole thing. Outside of the whole, shilling for markets and stuff like Verizon skins. What the hell were they even thinking about that?
Yeah, wow.
They must have been paid a lot of money, and let me tell you, it wasn't worth a single nickel. Here's the thing. This one seems to be more of a single player. Well, it looks more like it lends itself to co-op and stuff like that, but it looks much more in the vein of a actual story game and less of a story game that they try to shill into a monetization format like Marvel's Avengers. It seems that they actually took the criticism of, if you want to make a story, just make a story game,
Yeah.
much more literally, and yeah, this is what came out of that. So we'll see how this goes. If memory serves, let me just skip to the end of the trailer here. It actually comes out, yes, actually this year. This is the only one that comes out this year. Actually, October 26th as well. So
Hmm, there you go.
we will get to see quite soon how it ends up going because it comes out actually this year and actually officially, is it October yet? No, it's not. It's still
No.
September.
No. We're still in September, my friend. The year is not
Ah.
over yet.
So yeah, we'll get to see how this goes sooner rather than later because it's coming out this year and actually not that long. So we will see.
We
We
will.
will see.
We will. I mean, like it is. There's a lot to look forward to. Some of it's gonna take a while. Some of it's coming soon. But right now, I would say PlayStation. I would say they're in a fairly good spot. I mean, some of this stuff, like to me, God of War and Star Wars alone, like
That makes the
that's
whole
that's
thing interesting.
yeah, that kind of puts them in a pretty good position right now. Like
And I believe if PlayStation has the money backing the Star Wars game, then it might just be an exclusive. Fine for me because I have a PS5. But
I'll be honest with you. I hope it doesn't stay an exclusive for PlayStation forever. I like at least
it's
a
PlayStation's
year.
money, so don't count on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like at the very most, I hope like maybe a year, 2 years, maybe three. But please don't keep it an exclusive forever, my guy. Please.
We will see.
Let some of us others play the game.
Like I can imagine. Like here's the thing: PlayStation right now is in a weird spot where murmur in the games industry is that they're more focusing on big blockbuster games these days. They're not putting their money on
Small stuff.
smaller games that may or may not make their money back. The previous president of PlayStation, I think, even said on a very famous showcase, one of his most famous things, I believe it was the previous president, that everyone very much respected, and it's still quoted to this day, where he goes, one of the games that he personally liked was a game, and everyone's just kind of like, well, what game is that? And a few people are like, yeah, I know that game, and he goes, exactly. It's not a big blockbuster. It made some money back, and it's got a cult following, but it's not exactly, a major blockbuster that
Well,
shredded the box
well,
office
I
kind
mean
of thing. But that's fine.
that's the thing. If you get a little bit more money than what you put into it, that's not a whole lot. Like if you even if you go and put like $100 into something and you got $200 out, that's not a whole lot. Like when it comes to them, you kind
I'm
of
paraphrasing, admittedly, because I don't remember the exact quote, but
yeah.
basically what he said is, it's not a major thing that broke any records, and it's not something that everyone's yammering about because it's the next greatest thing since sliced bread. It's a decent game. It made its money back, but it's not a big thing. But that's okay because everyone has their taste. Whereas now PlayStation's current big bosses seem to be more interested in we need something that breaks all the records, makes headlines every time it comes out, and gets us
Notice
all
me,
money.
senpai.
Honestly. So it feels like that's the route PlayStation's going, and here's the thing: don't go that way because we've already kind of seen what happens when people go that way. I think Xbox went that way a few years ago, before their current big cheese, not the head of Xbox currently. I can't remember his name, but that's kind of what they were originally, and that cost them a lot in the long run. So it's better in some cases just to kind of focus on, games in general. Some of them will work, some of them won't, because I think one person actually went to them and said, "Oh yeah, this is one of the famous cases where this is kind of shown where, oh my back, I'm sitting on a couch, my back is just destroyed now." One of them, Dying Light, not Dying Light, Days Gone,
Days
the
Gone.
Days Gone 2 team.
Yeah.
They actually went to PlayStation. They're like, "Hey, we made our money back, decent enough. We really like the game. Let's make a second one." And PlayStation's like, "No, why? Because you just didn't make enough money." And so, despite the fact they made their money back and there is a cult following for Days Gone, it wasn't big enough for PlayStation's taste. And so, even though the Days Gone team are like, if we were ever offered, we'd still do. We want to do a second game because they even set up for a second game, but because it wasn't as a smash hit as PlayStation wanted, they just didn't get anything. So
we'll see. We'll see. I mean, you never know. Xbox might come scooping them up. You never know.
Maybe, but I think they're in exclusivity with PlayStation. But
for right now. But I mean, that's the thing though. Like, they're an exclusivity for the game they've made, and if they're like, no, we're not gonna make a new game, then technically, in a way, your exclusivity only holds to the game that you have made, you have released.
Yeah, but you still have the franchise name, technically. So they can't just go to Xbox and be like, hey, let's make this game. No, because technically PlayStation still
yeah, but there's nothing saying you have to call it Days Gone.
Yeah, but then they call it a lawsuit.
Days passed. All the characters you know are gone. But
I don't think that's how legal works.
Hey, you never know.
Anyways, what time are we at?
We are hour 30.
Okay. That's a good place to wrap it up because, yeah. So that's well, again, this is what GameSpot says is the best of the game trailers in this showcase. I personally would agree.
Yeah.
We have the entire thing linked.
Both
the actual entire showcase from PlayStation in the description.
Both the full showcase and the shortened down some of the major games are in the description. Which I've been looking at. So if you want to take a look at that, do so. I'd recommend it because
I'd recommend it. Lots to work with.
You'd get a little hype from some of the stuff and some of that blood pumping from it all.
Blood pumping.
Brain power activate.
So there you go. That's the show, I guess. Yep. Yeah. We talked about some of the best games, our opinions on them. Let's hope it works. Again, my money's on a very good Star Wars remake. If they can pull off what Square Enix does with Final Fantasy for the new Star Wars game,
literally,
it's gonna be great, man.
Literally, just
I still play Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Literally, just a retexture alone would be more than enough for people.
Honestly, I still play in that era of Star Wars too. I still pretend EA never existed. Where I still play like that game, Star Wars: The Old Republic, that MMO thing. I still play that game, man.
Just play that.
I think with it forever.
And it's lore. I don't care what anyone says. It's lore.
That's my line. Oh my goodness. So, I guess there you go. Oh yeah. Also. Typical YouTuber things, like, subscribe. Tell us in the description. Did you like our? Well, don't. Yeah, tell me if you like my face. Tell me if you like our faces. I can't change it if you don't. But, it's a good thing.
Look at my face. You enjoy my face. Look at it.
Did you enjoy this face?
Look at my face.
Did you think
I'm not quarantined? This isn't me staying inside for years on end. What?
My beard. You get to see. For those who don't know, actually, fun fact: when we first met him and he had a beard that made him look like Duck Dynasty.
I
I'm not even
had
kidding
a
you.
full beard, long hair, everything. Now, it's gone.
Like I'm looking at a different person. I swear, I'm still thinking if this is my editor indeed, or if he just killed and ate the other one.
Yes.
Yes.
Venom.
Yeah. So there you go. Again, like, subscribe, comment. How'd we do and stuff like that. It helps feed the YouTube algorithm we are all subservient to.
It really.
And also,
it
Canada
really
Dry, give me something in terms of money. I've been drinking your thing all stream. Give us money. Hey, I can chill a little bit.
I'm gonna do big brain time. You ready for this?
Oh, you gotta do big brain time.
Big brain time.
Oh no, what is this?
Big brain time.
Oh!
Oh!
Coke
I've
and
got
Pepsi,
both.
give us money.
Now what? You may be
Now.
you may be competitors, but not here.
Not here.
You're mine.
We're equal opportunist chillers. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
So there you go.
Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. You got a little laugh out of this, a little bit of enjoyment, a little bit of insight in what might be coming. I mean, we did give a little bit of thoughts on how we think some of the games are going to go, so.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. I hope you enjoy. And in the words of the immortal Red Green, I'm pulling for you. We're all in this together. Good night.